Hello! Today's video is really exciting for me to share. I am building a tiny home and I've been documenting the process. I have a bunch of footage, and to begin, I just wanted to share the vision and my reason for building a tiny home. For those who don't know me personally, I live quite a nomadic lifestyle. Roughly for the past 5 years, I have been traveling on and off. Usually I leave Canada for 6 months out of the year, give or take. It varies depending on finances and what I'm doing, where I'm going. And my goal is to live in my tiny home throughout the summer and travel throughout the winter. This is my long-term goal, so it is going to take a little bit of time and money to get started, especially after the build, because most of my savings are going towards building the home. I have had this idea for quite some time now. It's something I always pondered, and every time I would leave to travel, I absolutely love the freedom and the perspective it gives me. However, I've always found myself longing for a place to call my own and a place where I could really grow some roots and ground down. I've been very fortunate to be able to travel and then return to my hometown and live with my family, but I think it's time that I get a place of my own, and it's been years in the making. Things started coming into play last year around my birthday in August. I got a trailer base to start the build, and my parents are so sweet. They went splits on me with the trailer. I actually found it used. It was somebody's camping trailer and snow had collapsed the roof. So they went through insurance and they were able to replace the trailer, and the insurance company just told them to keep it. So the man who owned the trailer took all the camper off of it and just had this trailer base sitting around. So we got a really good deal, and that trailer sat around for a year before I was able to actually find property and bring it over there to start the build. Things aligned so perfectly because the night I found out that the lease was mine was almost a year to the day that I got the trailer, which is so crazy and so full circle. Another thing that's really special about this property is my aunt and uncle used to lease it over a decade ago. So I have so many childhood memories of playing there with my cousins. That's usually where we would have our campfires at night and big family dinners. And that land was vacant for maybe 8 years, and somebody took over the lease for a very brief amount of time. The first week before we even brought the trailer to the land, my family and I did a bunch of clearing. It was very overgrown and there was a lot of trash that was left from the last tenants. They did leave a lot of garbage that had to be tended to. So I'll show you in the clips. There was a large fire pit place, and there was this type of plywood that was left everywhere, and it was rotting, so whenever you would pick it up it would just fall apart. There was quite a bit of poison ivy on the property, which is very common for the area where I'm building, and so we did our best to push the poison ivy back to the property line. It is something that we're going to gradually have to keep working at, especially this fall. I've read that that's the best time to tackle it. Knock on wood, nobody's gotten any breakouts from it, so that is so good. Once that was out of the way, the following weekend we finally brought the trailer up, and once we had the trailer on the land, we then had to make sure it was level, and we wanted to prop it up so the tires aren't left on the ground. We used different cement bricks and stones to prop it up, level it out, and then we started the build. Just for a little bit of context, my tiny home is roughly 2 hours away from where I'm currently living now. so we can only build on weekends. My dad is a contractor and he has been so helpful. Honestly, he's done the bulk of it and I help where I can. He's shown me so many different things when it comes to building, but ultimately he's much stronger and a lot of the materials are very heavy, so I could not do it without him. And my mom has been very helpful as well with all the landscaping, and she always makes sure we're fed and helps us out where she can as well, so I'm just so grateful. But with that being said, we can only really build on the weekends, and my dad has been taking Mondays off, so we go up to the land Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and that is when we build. So I kind of have the building divided by weeks. So the second week of actually building, we started with the floor, or the base if you will. We started with framing the base, and then we put out the plywood sheeting. And at that point we then had to flip it over. We had some visitors, my aunt and uncle were over, so they very kindly helped us flip the floor. It was incredibly heavy, and as you can see in the video, we built it on the trailer itself, so we had a flat surface to work on, but then we had to flip it over so we could put the insulation inside of that, and we could not have moved it without them. They were great help, and my little cousin even filmed the process. We got some wonky footage, but I think you get the gist of it. Then from that point on, we were able to cut holes to allow ventilation. We covered the holes with a screen so no critters can get in. I mean, little insects can, which is fine, but you know, no squirrels. And then we put the insulation down and we sheeted the floor, and then we covered, or sorry, before we sheeted the floor, of course, we covered it with the plastic. Then we did the sheeting, and that weekend we were able to finish the base of the trailer. We also screwed the trailer and the floor together so it's very stable and it's not going anywhere if we ever have to move it. It is on wheels, and that was very important because in my lease agreement we're not allowed to have any permanent structures. They prefer things that can easily be moved. So while I do plan on being there for a very long time, those are all things I had to consider with the build. The following weekend we framed the walls. The windows were definitely more work because you had to frame those out, make sure all the beams are on center, and then also do, gosh, what's it called? I'm really sorry, I don't know the proper terms for all of this, but it was a header that you had to put on top of the windows, if I'm not mistaken, and that was 3 pieces of wood all drilled together. So those took time, and also getting all the measurements for the windows and whatnot. And I was really lucky to source pretty much all my windows at a very discounted rate. I got 1 window for free. I also purchased 2 of them from Facebook Marketplace, and then there is a Habitat for Humanity restore nearby, and I was able to source a few secondhand windows. I got 2 large ones that are in my kitchen dining room. Those are probably the biggest windows of the build, and both of them together were only $80, which is insane because a brand new window is anywhere from $400 to thousands. So got really lucky with that. And then I also found a few windows at a Home Hardware, and my door I found off Facebook Marketplace for $250, and I think it's a beautiful door. It's in great shape, and the price point was perfect for me. So we were able to frame most of the walls in the one weekend. The tall ones were quite tricky to lift up. For the most part, it was just my father and I lifting the walls, and I'll be the first to say I'm not the strongest, and so lifting heavy things, especially above your head, my tallest wall is 11 feet tall, so it is quite tall and scary to lift, but we were able to do it. We also got some help from our family friends for some of the other walls, and it just came together really beautifully. The weekend after that, we started on the roof. The pitch is a foot difference from front to back. So the front is the high side, and then it goes down a foot for the back. The tiny home is 24 feet by 8 feet. The area where the loft is a little bit higher than the rest of the build because I wanted more headspace up there. So we broke it up into 2 different roofs. We first started with the lower roof, which is the longer one, and we did the beams across with the bird's mouth cuts, and then we sheeted it. Once it was sheeted, we added ice and water on top. Then we got to work on the higher roof. My aunt and uncle were visiting, so my uncle, who used to do roofing as a job, he came and helped us with that, so it was greatly appreciated. We just had to add a small wall later on where the height difference is. We also put drip edge all around, which we're thinking might have been a mistake and we should have waited because we're going to strap the roof and put metal sheeting. And now there's going to be a gap between the drip edge and the strapping. So we're going to have to adjust something for that later. Then we were able to finish the house wrap. We put the tie par all around, and we actually ran out midway through, so we installed the windows that we could, went to the store, and then got more tie par to finish off the rest of the windows. So where the build is at right now, I have all my windows in, it's house wrapped, the roof is ice and watered, and I was able to do some of the spray foam inside for the windows. But this weekend I do believe we are putting the door in, and then we're working on the soffit and fascia. But that is all we've got done so far. It's actually coming together so quick, and I'm so proud and so thankful, and it's been just amazing to watch this process unfold. And I feel like I've pushed my body further than I've ever done before, and it is really hard work, but I feel so grateful at the end of the day. It's a job well done, and I know it's going to be worth it in the end. So this is just part 1 of my tiny home build. I will continuously be making videos throughout the process. I'm just collecting footage, and then whenever I have enough to put together and make a video, I will talk you through it and show you where we're at. but I hope you enjoy this video. It's definitely different than my art-related content, but this is a very big chapter in my life and I really want to document the process and share it with you and also be able to just look back on it. And so yeah. Please let me know if you have any questions whatsoever, and I look forward to seeing you in another video soon. I will be posting more art content, some pottery videos, but life has just been so busy and this build has taken over my attention, so that's where I'm at now. Anyways, thank you so much for watching and have a beautiful day. Love you!